Hello, everyone. Welcome to United States News. Biden faces moment of truth on the economy this week. Biden faces moment of truth on the economy this week. President Joe Biden, seen here during a meeting on July 12, 2022, has gotten poor marks on his handling of the economy in recent polling. This story was adapted from the July 25 edition of CNN Meanwhile in America, the daily email about U.S. politics for global readers. But as he recovers from his COVID-19 infection, President Joe Biden faces a new moment of truth this week about an economy that is stuck in an identity crisis and buffeted by unpredictable outside forces. At any other time, a president presiding over a 3.6% unemployment rate, a shining number that normally would suggest a healthy economy, would expect his approval rating to be around 50% and be cruising to a second term. But Biden's job performance rating has slumped into the 30s, and Democrats are bracing for big losses in midterm elections in November. The culprit is inflation, a corrosive force that can demoralize every voter. Inflation has raced to 40-year highs on the back of raging demand and COVID-compromised supply chains, exacerbated by a spike in oil prices. And depending whom you believe, Biden's $1.9 trillion economic rescue plan pumped a torrent of cash into the economy at the wrong time. In short, almost everything got more expensive this year, especially the everyday expenses most Americans cannot avoid, like food, housing, and gas, which is bad news for the party in power in Washington heading into an election. Notably, in that CNN poll, 75% called inflation and the cost of living the most important economic problem facing their family. Last summer, that figure stood at 43%. Expect several key reports this week on U.S. economic health and consumer prices to offer a glimpse of how bad things could get. On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve is also expected to raise interest rates again in an attempt to tame inflation. Though some experts think the Fed's new aggressive strategy came too late and risks tipping the economy into a recession. If Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the Fed will reduce historically high inflation rates, Americans believe him and change their behavior to reflect that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, the Fed's version of The Secret, Goodkind writes. But perception doesn't always line up with reality, and the economists at the Federal Reserve are as susceptible to capricious economic shifts as you and I. There is no official rulebook to follow. They make their monetary policy through trial and error. And there have been errors, she continues. The Fed, much like Madonna, is constantly evolving. This institution that aims to project an aura of stability is not beyond surprising us. Meanwhile, amid all the focus on inflation's erosion of the strength of U.S. paychecks, Goodkind notes that this week marks a sobering milestone for struggling American families. It's been 13 years since the last time the U.S. federal minimum wage was raised to $7.25 an hour, making it the longest period without a raise since the federal minimum wage was enacted in 1938. About 30 states and Washington, D.C., have minimum wages above the federal standard. That can't be helping Biden in the face of dismal poll numbers on the economy. Only 18% of Americans in that CNN survey described the nation's economy as in good shape, while 82% said economic conditions are poor. The latest Consumer Confidence Index from the Conference Board is due to be released Tuesday after last month's report showed souring confidence in the face of high gas and food prices and rising recession risks. Responding to the news earlier this month that inflation had surged to a new pandemic-era peak in June, with U.S. consumer prices jumping by 9.1% year-over-year, the White House seized on a more recent dip in gas prices, while complaining that the tumbling price was not being covered by the media with the same intensity that accompanied the hike in prices. But public perceptions of the economy aren't likely to change that fast. Even if this week's data suggests that the economy isn't heading for a recession, it will still be a hard sell for the White House. Any president arguing that the economy isn't really as bad as it feels to voters is in trouble.